kujumo bile no bo pe ji money woja ne bo non pe onwo wo bio yele ke bo amo enfin kejo o mbibo Allah no kan ne okleke ojo mo odro mo ko mo mana oshin ke bagbalo Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam no ke me fen ni wale na she Islam ne ngene gbine Islam ba shon wo bi he ni woto fan ye wo mo eje he ni wo ye mo ha wo shifu mo eje ni kejo ba gbe wo hun egbe wo bi won ni chon popa e so hin ye Islam gbeji anoto mi wo ngato ibule fen ke Islam he jole ngam ja salamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh e fi ake pilai tomboni he no water studio ne no water ne amachu ni ona ke pilai he chun ke pilai na aje ameje fo ba na ke chun ba kuma ehwehwe lo ke be me na amachu ni ato higbeji ano dade ni ke ni bi ni sana ke omi aya na kan yibo na ke ba omi fo ba na ke chun ba anye kuma ehwe ma no ke ma wala igma na kan no jibo ne haje yo haje hu aye pilai ni idamono ni kene maji pila ene ebeje mpe obana ke haje no fi itofa ekumeye ni keji emebue be haji chomu enfe onako eminjo mo ofito shike fulu na ekumeye hu ye ni keji eba aye noni poteni obafi ni okwa wonaja ekwe be minu wongbala menke ya hin wo ba kwe ne ke wi mo enyo na shina moji mo ni sane fi haje ko na gbenu kwa ke nso chile hu wi ake haje a chon gbe isrotu itenu na ke fiu ke wo kwe gbe isrotu itene na chon no na ke fiu ke agbene wo kwe pila e denche ni haje da mono kenkle haje fi mo eji otike ha moniji muslim ne nyumwe fi ko haje oti e hakole noni ji enyo ani muslim fe muslim ni nyombo efe haji na oti ha lo dabi muslim ne shenu lo esheyu le ji mo ni nyombo efe haji na oti ha le noni ji ten ani mo fe mo ni muslim ne shenu lo esheyu we nyombo efe haji oti ha le lo dabi isake ne ken gbomo ne eyin kan le shi ojugba je mo ko nita flache eyi seke lo ejwe mo chun ni noni ji ejwe moni ye nyon yeli shishin lo awole mu neke haji fe mone afikuloti ahankule ne no ni ji no mo saka ne ken gbomo ne eye gbomo chu wale na agbene ninamo ni akefio haje eye eko ke ni sheni bi enu mo ne nchita ne no be haje fe mu ifi uti ke hamoko. Today we want to look at the conditions and the pillars of Hajj. You know that when you are putting up a structure, a building, you lay the you actually dig the foundation, and as you are erecting the building, you support it with some pillars so that this structure will be firm and will not collapse. So is Hajj. There are pillars upon which Hajj is built, and without those pillars, your Hajj will become null and void. But with time, I will explain. There are some things that if you omit, the Hajj is null and void. And there are certain things when you omit in the Hajj, there is a compensation that you have to pay to actually rectify or to correct it. With time, I will go into that. But let's look at the conditions for Hajj. First of all, the one wishing or the one performing Hajj must be a Muslim. So Hajj is only incumbent upon a Muslim. It is not incumbent upon a non-Muslim. Secondly, it is not incumbent upon every Muslim, but this Muslim must be matured. Thirdly, this Muslim must be of sound mind. The person should be sane. Otherwise, performing Hajj is not obligatory on that person. The fourth condition is that this person should not be someone who is in bondage or is in captivity or is in prison. And then finally, the person should be capable both physically and financially. So you have the strength to perform the Hajj and you have the resources to perform the Hajj. Then Hajj becomes incumbent upon you. Having explained what the conditions for Hajj are, now we have to look at how Hajj is performed. Then, of course, we look at the pillars upon which Hajj is built. I explained in the last episode that Hajj is performed through three means. There are three ways of performing Hajj, and that is what I want to touch on. So the first one is known as Hajj Tamatu. I will explain what it means. Then the second one is what is known as the Hajj al-Kiran. I will explain what it means. Then the third one is what is known as Hajj al-Ifrad. So there are three ways of performing the Hajj. If you talk about Hajj Tamatu, this is what it means. It means the person who intended performing the Hajj enters the state of Ihram by performing Umrah. I will explain what Umrah means. And if I say the state of Ihram, please don't be confused. I'll take my time and explain what Ihram means and the conditions surrounding Ihram. I will explain it. So just please bear with me. So the one performing Hajj Tamatu is the one who entered into the state of Ihram and performed Umrah during the period for performing Hajj. And if we talk about the period for performing Hajj, you are talking about from the first day of Shawwal until the 8th day of Zulhijjah, when one assumes the state of Ihram for the performance of Hajj, until the 12th or the 13th day. So the person performed Umrah, then he or she came out of the state of Ihram and waited until the 8th day of Zulhijjah and assumed the state of Ihram again for the performance of Hajj. If someone performs Hajj in this way, the person performed Umrah, came out of the state of Ihram, waited until the 8th day of the month of Zulhijjah, and assumed that state again to perform Hajj, then that Hajj is known as Hajj Tamatu. Then there is also what is known as the Hajj al-Kiran. And Hajj al-Kiran simply means you assume the state of Ihram to perform both Umrah and Hajj at the same time. So what it means is that at the time you intended assuming the state of Ihram, you said, if I enter this state, I'll use it to perform Umrah. I'll not come out of it. I'll use it to perform Hajj as well. In that case, your Hajj is known as Hajj al-Kiran. It means you combine both the Umrah and Hajj at the same time. And of course, there is what is known as the Hajj al-Ifrad. And that simply means you only assume the state of Ihram to perform Hajj. You did not intend performing Umrah. So in that state, it is known as Hajj al-Ifrad. So my name Hajj be iteno achona ke fiyo Hajj. We no na chola ke Hajj Tamatu. We no na chola ke Hajj al-Kiran. We no na chola ke Hajj al-Ifrad. Mokupu Anyetei make ba 10 times, 5 times. Ko bi like okote Hajj pudenche tu file. Telepu ile Hajj ile boni file ha. Le no no ji ate aba. Achela Hajj achela alaji. Hajj sanu bumuno ya afi denche. Sanu uli Hajj no ya afi ni ko ba ho sanu uli Hajj no afi. O Hajj be itin achono na ke fiyo. I don't know chola ke Hajj Tamatu. Hajj Tamatu eji mo bote Ihram ni ka ke Ihram miniji Ihram eja ke Ihram fata pilai ni Hajj da mono magbala me mo bote Ihram ni ifeyi ake ibafi Umrah be mini ke bote Ihram mi be na ke fiyo Hajj na ka ke be na ke fiyo Hajj a chon gbi klen yo shawale mi a hu ke ashigbi ni ji pa anyo ni yo Zulhijjah mi be mi ni mo fe mo ba ya mina na ba ke atun Hajj ni chumo jugba na kan period de fin Hajj period ni e wo mo boti Ihram mi ye ne ke bia mi ni twa ke Kenya fi Umrah ye Ramadan bia mi ni inji Ihram mi ni ishe the 8th of Zulhijjah hu ni abote Ihram ni ke fi Hajj inye maka ke in fi Hajj Tamatu eja ke Ramadan fata Hajj period de ife Shaban fata ife Rajab the fata shikeji ife ne keni ne keje the first day of Shawwal ni injemin ke ashigbi ni jikpa anyo ye Zulhijjah nyom ni sa imbote Ihram ni ikun ni nke fi Hajj acho na kan Hajj ke Hajj Tamatu. We no na chola ke Hajj al-Kiran. Hajj al-Kiran ji mo be mi ni ibote Ihram mi ife yake Ihram ne ni mbote mi inje min no no nke ba fi Umrah ke mahimi nin ba fi Hajj at the same time. Kashi magbi Hajj nichmona on the 12th or on the 13th day of Zulhijjah. Kemuku fi Hajj yen kengbe no. Hajj ni fi achola ke Hajj al-Kiran. Ni third one neji no na achola ke Hajj al-Ifrad. Mo ifeji ake min fi Hajj pe. Nuku fatahi in fi umrah. Wesake uli Hajj. Hajj eye pilai ni idamono. Ni Hajj pilai edwene. Machi ameta. Kuni agbene wochon shishin. Lo magbala me ekume. Hajj ni bi edwene idamono. Ni keji oshin ekwe. Hajj no fiye. Blofo ke null and void. Ifolo. Una nuku yeme. Klen no jino na chola ke ihram. Inchita nke magbala ihram eme noni ji enyoji no na achola ke tawaf ni tawaf ehwen magbala me nke wo sheje shi tawaf ayetomo ejwe ayeno no achola ke tawaful kudum ji the arrival circumambulation ni ji keji oshemaka klen tawaf no ba fe ni usually be mi ni ofi umra ujino na achola ke tawaful kudum wenu achola ke tawaful ifada niji the tawaf of living, and what it actually means ji noji Hajj a tawaf denche ni afio from the 10th day of Zulhijjah keji aje Muzdalifa na ba mina ba ke lute baka no afina kan tawaf no jino na achola ke tawaf al ifada ni ene ko shin obe Hajj magbalame we no no chola ake sai ni wo fole kuku ake Safa and Marwa no ba adamo Safa no ba fi duwa keke ote Marwa ikumeni ke jeme hodu mojo fi duwa ko so ku so ba Safa ku nakan shi pa owe no jino na chola ake sai shi ba adamo Safa no ba adamo Marwa sina kan ni fi mo achola ake sai ine hu eji oti ni isake iba keji iba kwe Hajj no fi zero. Of course kafi umra afio sai hu iwoje umra no ji no ni nchion ta e bi ene minchon sai ni afio ye Hajj mi ndane ayo no chola ke ukufu Arafa ni ubaya Arafa bini jinne hu ye Zulhijja nyon ja ke hadise ko ke al hajju Arafa gbalo ke Hajj no ji Arafa keju ya ko Arafa be Hajj no fi null and void unako jomoko. Fellow believers, so now what are the pillars upon which Hajj is built? There are 4 pillars. If you leave out any of these 4 pillars, then your Hajj is null and void. So what are these pillars upon which Hajj is built? The first one is the Ihram. And what is Ihram? I'll soon explain what Ihram means. The second one is the Tawaf. That is the circumambulation of the Kaaba. And there are at least 4 ways by which this is done. So you have the Tawaful Kudum, that is the arrival Tawaf. And usually you are talking about the Tawaf that is done as part of the Umrah. Then you also have the Tawaful Ifada, which literally means the Tawaf of living. I'm not talking about the farewell Tawaf, no. The Tawaf of living, which is actually a pillar of the Hajj. So if you leave this out, your Hajj is null and void. And usually it is performed from the 10th day of Zulhijjah. That is after you have spent the night in Muzdalifa and you return to Mina. On that 10th day, you can do it, or any day before you leave Makkah. So that is the Tawaf al-Ifada, which is a pillar of the Hajj. And then you also have the Tawaf al-Wada, which is the farewell Tawaf. That is when you are leaving Makkah. And then, of course, there is the Tawaf al-Tatawu. That is the voluntary one. So, for instance, if I happen to be in Makkah and I have the opportunity of praying in the Haram, I can decide that I want to do the Tawaf. That one is a voluntary one. It is. So I'm just explaining the different types of Tawaf now. And then, of course, there is a sa'i, that is the movement between Safa and Marwa, which is a pillar of the Hajj. If you leave it out, then your Hajj is null and void. And then finally, there is the Wukufu Arafah, that is standing on the plains of Arafah. The Prophet said, Al Hajju Arafah, that Hajj is standing at Arafah. So if you do not do so, your Hajj is null and void. Of course, when we get to that time, I will give you the duration. You get there from sunrise, and you should be there until the sun sets. But even if you spend 15 minutes there before the sun sets, your Hajj is intact. And if you were to leave 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes before the sun sets, your Hajj is null and void. So these are things that you have to keep at the back of your mind. And of course, then there's what is known as the Wajibatul Hajj. These are also obligatory aspects of the Hajj. If you leave these ones out, there is a penalty that you have to pay to rectify your Hajj. And I'm talking about the wearing of the Ihram at the Miqat. I will explain what the Miqat is and the conditions of Hajj very soon. Saying at Arafat till sunset, I've mentioned it very soon. I'll talk about it. And then spending the 10th night at Muzdalifah, that what it means is that from Arafah, you come and spend the night at Muzdalifah. And if you know the plains very well, you know that it is just a street that separates Muzdalifah from Mina. So if you don't take care, you cross and go and sleep in Mina when you are supposed to be in Muzdalifah. And it means you have actually left out something for which you have to pay a penalty. And then spending the night of the day of Eid in Mina. So it means on the 10th night, that is the 11th night, you should actually sleep in Mina. I will explain what all those things mean. So manyame no koklohuni isake wakadi jino na chola ke wajibatul hajj. Wajibatul hajj jidibi kumeni am echon oti ni amehihia ye hajj mi ni keji oshin abagbala otwe ke onye owu twe gbala mo ni yo he no hajj ibayi mu ekobeji isake ohi arafa ke ashihunu ba anyoshin ona na gbile ni ji the 9th day of Zulhijjah na gbile abaya arafa aya keji hunu eji asol fajr se bwe bi fe bi no ba sheje bo mo de akọ ba henje shi muwe o ba henje ke ashihunu ba anyoshin ko shije ba fe ingbe twa enumopo ni hunu enyo koshi lo no shije ingbe twa enyo ingbe twa akome ni hunu enyoshin no fie zero ni wo sako mo tun wa na ke akeni kejeje ke ya Muzdalifa me ya pele chone ewo ekwe sheku Maghrib time ni hunu enyo shidenche be men ya me wo ya na ama ko chone ni ameya be ofite shika na efe 75,000 Ghana cedi lo 6,500 Ghana cedi ofite le kemoko ni che hambo o afi dollar say $6,500 o afite shika na efe follow mo twiishi moko wo arafa bo fen bo ni jin o ba na chone ken ke bo ba ya e wo mo twiishi ka ke mi yo ya ni no wo ba shije be mi ni time na ke shion sheko agbene sa ke ole ake gbini oti arafa ina kan gbile egbe ke o ba wo Muzdalifa je Mina o ba wo ni Muzdalifa ke Mina lore gbe ni kan je lo pe jino ni ke short lo mi gbala mo ba ake BNM Muzdalifa ni BNM Mina ni o ko kwe na hi o ba o be wo tente no yo je be wo tente no yo je wo mi aka je keke no ho o fiti ni we sa ke wo kadi ini ojugba agbene keji asole Eid na kan gbile ni jigbi ni jinyuma ye Zulhijjah nyono na kan gbeke isake owo Mina ke gbeke enyo ni chala no oba awoje jo ba aka ke mi ya maka ni nti maka ni afeta wa afeto mi wo mi nta o maka sheje mawo da bi ji na kan ji boni afiole agbere nya ha wo kwa ihram ka ke ihram meaning ihram. So ihram literally means consecration. It's a state of consecration, and it is not merely the towel that men use to cover themselves, the upper and then the lower one. No. Technically speaking, ihram is the consecration, the niyyah, the intention that you make, which makes certain things that under some conditions are lawful, unlawful for you. For instance, if you enter into the state of ihram, you cannot kiss your wife. She is your wife. He is your husband. You cannot kiss him. You cannot kiss her. And you cannot engage in foreplay or anything that leads to sex. Even if you are the imam, whilst you are in the state of ihram, you cannot contract a marriage, officiate a marriage for someone, and no one can officiate a marriage for you. Amagbala me fine. Ihrame ka ke ihrame lele umuku wake obe papa enyoni nuwe ke ha ikefi ikengwe he kenoni ike ha engwengbe noji ihrame oh lele noji ihrame shi ihrame ji na kan edamo shike ha yinto hechumo ni ofio ketwon oyinto we no ake okentawo ni okebenke nyumbo shije mieli ake non wochola ake izar non ake fiu ake ngohe ka agbene rida non ake ha onwengbe di noji non achola ake ihrame eja ke ji ndo achola ake ihrame wana ke oye ihrame ni o mama ewo muji oba anyo chake ke lache ebote mi oba anyo fo inu owu ekokulu wo ke ihrame ji mama lo papa na ke ngohe ke non ko ba okubaha onwengbe noji ihrame keke kwa beko chake no be twan ko yafi ni akokuru dabi shi idamo shike ha yintuwe ni ofi ni okebote na kan hechu mome to the extent akeke obote ihrame ni bi ni na kan ni je haram ni ekomeye ni ke uye ihrame onyin ofi no kwamo neji medenche ngane nkoshika nke wehenyomo be aboni inyo ihrame me inye mashwena enye shwenna inye mamomwemi enye emomomi ke hwemo efen ni ke bole na moba nkele fen wonye wofiku ke we ihrame boji imam mokweke kwa keje boji imam keji oye ihrame onye ofigbana ohamoko ni bohu anya afigbana wakola ke nte makaka ke o Abdur Rashid won fi gbana na won hale bona afi be mi ne ba aje meka ne ba ingaye omo da bibi abono ye ihrame onyo fi uhamokwe anya afi abo ba obi eni yo shamele ake ke mbote ihrame mi ne ke maja ni chumwene inye machu nokumeni mintu ni ke fata in the case of women there is no standardized dress for them. They can wear anything that adequately covers their body, that is sufficient enough to cover them, and it is not tight, it is loose, it is not transparent. So in the case of women, they can wear anything at all, but in the case of men, then they will use the two seamless or stitchless cloth to cover themselves. Now, I mentioned mikat earlier on, and I said I will explain. Maybe for today, we'll look at the mawakit, the stations, and then inshallah, in our subsequent broadcasts or episodes, we'll look at the other acts. So I am still on ihram. The ihram, the state of ihram is assumed at the mikat. Mikat is the station at which you enter into the state of ihram. And that is the only time in Islam when the declaration of intention is made public. But our declaration of intention for whatever we do is done in the heart. It was only when the Prophet ﷺ was at Mikat, then he said, Labeika Umratan, that, oh Allah, I have come and I intend to perform Umrah. That is the only time. So, for instance, I'm coming to pray and I wait to Salat Zuhur and I wait to all these things have no basis whatsoever in Islam. So, for instance, Allah asked a rhetorical question in Surah Al-Hujurat, Quran chapter 49, verse 6, and Allah says, Kul atualimuna allaha bidinikum, wallahu ya'lamu ma fi samawati wa ma fil ard, wallahu bikulli shay'in alim. Allah says, Kul, say, Atualimuna Allah bidinikum. Are you the one who will teach Allah what your religion is, what your intentions are? So are you saying that if you don't say Nawaitu Salat Zuhur, Allah doesn't know that it is Zuhur that you intend performing? If you don't say, oh Allah, I intend performing Asr, Allah doesn't know that it is Asr that you are performing. Wallahu ya'lamu ma fi samawati ma fil ard. When Allah knows whatever is in the heavens and the earth, so are you the one who teach Allah that this is what I intend to do? Wallahu bi kulli shay'in alim, and Allah knows everything. So even before you rose up to perform ablution, Allah knows your intention that it is Maghrib prayer that you wanted to perform. He knows that it is Asr that you wanted to perform. So you are not the one telling Allah that. So if you are fond of doing that, let us put an end to it, because the only occasion on which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam declared the intention open and clear was when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was at the Miqat and he intended to perform Umrah, and he said, Labbaika Umratan. Oh Allah, I have listened to your call and I'm here. I intend to perform Umrah. That is the only occasion. And so if you get to the Miqat, and of course I'll explain what, let me find it. Ihrame abotio min ke wo shehe na chola ke Miqat eji he ni ke ju she oba fi yinto wake min fi Hajj lo min fi Umrah. For example, ke ju fi Umrah mo ni oye Maka ni gbiriji pa anyono a shikenya ni na o hotel room me boya to here no wo ye Maka jeme afio o Miqat ke habo ni ukabote ihrame me o wana ke jeme ji ni agbene o wa bon labeka Allahumma labeka ke mo labeka no wo ba agbala me ke wo te hin eku eje ngene ke mu aso nyu egbe ko ni mena ochi we wala mi no gbomochu wale o ba agbala me we he na acha market mawakit is the plural of Miqat. He ni abotio ni keji ushejeme obanye ni ufi uyinto. Miqat lo mawakit we ekume inumo. We no na chola ke Zulhuleifa ni Zulhuleifa aji Medina menije Medina ke ameche na chola ke Zulhuleifa jemeji ame Miqat. No wana ke Ghana bi efeni ya Hajj ame ya Medina amafio ziyara na ya fio ifata Hajj ziyara Medina na ya ke ni mindu fata Hajj ni chumo gbi enumo lo gbi pape na ya he na fio wo Medina no ehin yake obaya je lo aslag ba lo mox se mo eko tumo obaya kuba jemeji clean mox na ama kote jeme no fi na flara ka enyo we jo mo tomo ko defi umra ne nyomwe he no me fen se na mo bonuses ni shi ifata Hajj ni chumo denche o menije Medina ka me Sheikh na achoje make Zulhuleifa jemeji he ni amemiqat yo ni amba abuti ihram me yejem menije Syria menije Lebanon menije Palestine menije Egypt amehu eko na achola ke Al-Juhfa jemeji amemiqat ni keji ameshejeme amba abuti menije Najd ka me Sheikh na achola ke Karnul Manazil jemeji amemiqat hini amba abuti mini menije Yemen be hekwe na achoje make ye lamlam jemeji hini amemiqat yo ni menije Iraq be hekwe na achola ke Zatu Irk jemeji amemiqat jemeji hini ubafi yintuwe. It is only be minu yafi Umrah lo Hajj pe mi yintuwe jioku shitu mba no mo shin yafi wudu mba masole ni make nyuma ake mwamba masole Zuru, mwamba masole Asr, mwamba masole Maghrib ke nibiye enele ebe Islam yake na kanjibo. Balo Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam ifiku na kainda. Balo Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam non pendi ifipe jibe mini ishehini ishe Miqat ni ibafi Umrah ni ke Labbaika Umratan nyombo imbo uche motwi ni mbake
kanu bafi na kan tawafe lu uyi 12 die lu 13 die yemina musoba Maka no bafi na kan tawafe achono ake tawafu li ifada ekwe with time ko ba agbala beno eno na achola ake tawafu wada ji keji ugbi Hajj ni chumo fena ni ubashi eku seke ya uma na gbe tawafe na ya fio na ke kaba yo she no jino na achola ake tawafu wada dani agbene we no achola ake tawafu tatawo neji ekwe oye maka maami olu nyebekuna asen when no tihara me he decide ako mintu ani mafi tawaf na kan tawaf e boni iyole ne. So distinguished listeners, what am I driving at the moment? So a lady, as I indicated earlier, can perform all the rites of Hajj and Umrah if she's even in a state of menstruation, except in the case of tawaf, which is like worship. Why can't she do so? You know, in Islam, whenever you talk about something, you need evidence to back your position. So the position is that when Aisha radiallahu anha, the wife of the Prophet when she experienced her menstruation during the Hajj, she was crying. And then the Prophet had to console her and tell her that, oh, you can do everything, every rite of the Hajj, you can do it, except tawaf, because tawaf is like prayer. And the difference between tawaf and salat is that in the case of tawaf, you can speak, you can talk whilst you are performing the tawaf. But in the case of salat, you cannot speak if you are in that state. So you know that also in the case of salat, if a woman is in her menses, she cannot perform salat. So in the case of a lady who is in her menses too, she cannot perform the tawaf, and that is the condition. I also explained the last week about the different types of tawaf. Then I said we have what is known as the tawaful kudum. That is the arrival tawaf. And I indicated that when you first enter Makkah, whether you are coming through the Jeddah airport, whether you went to Medina and you came to Makkah, and then you went to the Haram, the first tawaf, that is going around the Kaaba that you do, that is what is known as the tawaful kudum. Then there is also what is known as the tawaful ifada. The tawaful ifada is the tawaf